You know what? If I'm wrong about this, then Tyler Perry has pulled the greatest switcheroo on the series at this point. I feel like it goes about saying, and I know a lot of people agree because I checked out the tweets and everything. Derek is indeed the father of Candace Young and the guy that raped Hannah. It's just the clues are right there in front of us. I feel like you know how each episode it's a cute scene between. It's like it starts off like, well, Derek just happens to be there, and then it gets, that suspicion gets calmed down because you realize Catherine was the one that told him where to be at a specific time and place, linking up to when Hannah is either leaving work or showing up to work. Then him and Hannah have a cute scene. It's like, aw, and then he does something that makes you go, that guy's a little aggressive / pushy. Then it's like some cute dialogue that lights up Hannah's face and it's like, okay, this is cool. And then you're kind of stuck in the middle of, okay, I love seeing Hannah happy. Derek seems like a great guy, but at the same time, this show has taught us so much in regards to, you know what, man? Every time a character comes on the show and it seems like they're a generally nice person, male or female, give them a few episodes and it turns out to have a dark past or a big secret to hide. And this happens each episode with Derek, but then Tuesday night's episode just littered the floor with different clues and hints that that's the guy. He's got the tattoo. Derek is the one. This is the third quarter of my life. I made a lot of mistakes as a kid. Now I'm open with my thoughts and stuff. And God, the fact that he's like, when I see something I want, I just go for it. And Hannah's like, well, I'm not a thing. And I'm just like, it's right there. He's the guy. He has to be. Look, like I said at the beginning, if Tyler Perry builds up Derek to be the tattoo guy, and then it turns out a new character's introduced and he's the one, great on Tyler Perry. I would sing praises to his writing because that would be awesome. But it doesn't, let me just put it this way, it would not surprise me if he pulls a random character out of his hat and then throws him into the series and it turns out he's the guy with the lion tattoo. Because if you've noticed over the past couple episodes, it's like new characters are being introduced each time, whether it's one character or a bunch, like the bartender at the Iron Bone that vouched for Wyatt so we can get the drugs. Tuesday night we had, Mitch visiting the part of his family. The one he was talking to is obviously like the main character of that setting, but then you had characters in the background who are probably going to show up in a later episode, and the list goes on. Judge Gilman, the one that Veronica went to visit a couple episodes ago. So each episode we're getting new characters, so it would not surprise me if some random guy shows up and he's the guy with the lion tattoo. Or even Tyler Perry can do another thing where Derek has a lion tattoo. Hannah freaks out because she thinks it's the guy, but it's not, because another guy will show up with a similar tattoo. Again, this show has just been so unrealistic lately, introducing all these new characters. It would not surprise me if Tyler Perry does something along those lines, but the clues are right there in front of you. The fact that, he's trying to start. When Derek said third quarter, we can imagine that he's probably over the age of 50. 25 is one quarter. Being age 1 to 25 is one quarter. 26 to 50 the second quarter, and then the final quarter. Well, not the final, but the third quarter is being like 51, and then to 75. Or in my mind, I also interpreted it as Derek being in his third quarter in terms of his first quarter of life was being, a wild kid and then, raping women and stuff like that. But then he turned his life around in that second quarter when he settled down, got married, had kids. Then the third quarter he's in now is, after losing his wife, all of his kids are in college and whatnot. And he's just trying to, mellow out in terms of, not keeping feelings suppressed, being open and honest, but still having some of those aggressive tendencies from his first quarter of life. That's personally how I interpreted it, not just in regards to his age. Now, Hannah, of course, saying that I'm waiting until sex. Oh, gosh, tongue twister. I'm waiting until I'm married to have sex. I can understand that, but as I said before, We don't know how far Hannah and Michael were going to go back at the beginning of season 3 when they were in Hannah's bedroom until Benny, walked his nosy ass in there about knocking. So I'm just saying, like, it seemed like, they were on the verge of having sex. So that makes me wonder, was Hannah caught in a moment of weakness, or why is she so hung up on not having sex until marriage now with Derek? Who knows? But I think it's obvious that he is the guy, because one thing I want to know is, we know that Candace is going to show up to Hannah's house in the next episode to talk with Benny about those millions of dollars that she wants Benny to hold. Now, I'm wondering, will Candace meet Melissa when she's there? Will Derek have already left by the time Candace gets there? There are just so many factors that come along with that. I would love to see a scene with both Candace and Derek so we can kind of compare their physical attributes side by side. Maybe those two will meet in passing when Derek's going out. It's like, oh, hey, excuse me. And then, Candace like, okay. So it's one of those things where she meets her father without knowing it. I could see that occurring. And then also... Then we get to the whole Veronica thing, because there is the episode called The Broken Washer. I've already talked about the possibility of the whole situation of what if a washer breaks at either Catherine's house or Veronica's house. Derek goes to fix it up, and by some means, his shirt gets filthy, whether it be something spills on it. Then he takes off his shirt because he has to, not because of a sex scene. And then it turns out he has that lion tattoo. So we don't know if Veronica's going to see it first. We don't know if Hannah's going to see it first. And then the fact that Derek is turning out to be a nice guy. What if Hannah actually starts to fall for Derek, because she did say, like, it's been a long time since I've been in a situation like this. It's nice, but it's moving a bit too fast and whatnot. So let's say we as an audience see him with the lion tattoo first. Like, remember how we as an audience knew that Vinny was a Malone when Benny went to go get the money. But in terms of the characters on the show, like Jim and Wyatt, not knowing Vinny was a Malone until, they discovered him dead on the floor. So I feel like Tyler Perry can definitely do a lot of creative things with the Derek character, where we see him with the tattoo, because we do know Veronica is going to attempt to seduce him. And it will be interesting to see how Derek reacts to that, because he's not in a relationship, but he's seeing Hannah, a nice Christian woman that he likes being around, but at the same time, she's not willing to give it up without being married. But then you have Veronica, who seems to be putting the moves on Derek, and just, as Benny would say, well, she just put it out there. What was I supposed to do? That would be interesting to see. What Derek's reaction will be like. What if Derek does agree to have sex, and it's because, he's a bit pent up, because it seems to me like he's probably haven't had relations with a woman since his wife passed about a year ago. So for Veronica to just put it out there to him, he might accept in a moment of weakness, and then we see him shirtless, and then it turns out he has the tattoo. So as an audience, we'll know that Derek is, we'll know that he has the lion tattoo. Let's just put it that way. In terms of him being the same man that raped Hannah, let's just kind of put that on the shelf. Then eventually, Hannah begins to discover she actually does like Derek, and then the two might be in a relationship, or Hannah might get to the point where she agrees to not wait until marriage, because given the pacing of the show, I doubt that there will be a scenario where those two will get married and then they have sex on their honeymoon, and then she discovers it's the same guy and she freaks out. But what I would like to see is Hannah developing true feelings for Derek, and those two actually get into a relationship, and then it gets to the point where she surrenders her rule of waiting until marriage to have sex. And then she sees the tattoo and then freaks out. I would like that to happen, because it wouldn't be something that's too abrupt. We would actually see some build up with her character. It's kind of like the Erica and David situation in the terms of David, let's just say David is saying that he's really got feelings for Erica. It's moving a bit fast, but at the same time, it's like, he feels something real. So the real test of these characters is to see what will happen when David discovers Erica's true colors. What if Hannah discovers Derek was the guy that actually raped her? See, the thing, I guess you could say the difference in that scenario is the fact that yes, Derek was, let's say he was the guy that raped Hannah. Let's say he was the guy. He is a good guy now because he's seen the error of his ways. He's changed it up and he's just trying to live the path that's right. As a Christian woman, you're going to have to side eye Hannah if she doesn't accept his change of character. But to be fair, she was raped by the same man. Then you have to deal with David and Erica and the fact that David, I feel less sorry for David because it seems like he jumped into that way too fast. At least Hannah is being hesitant because it's like you invite, as Veronica said, you invite this whore in here calling her baby. You don't even know her for like what, barely a week or whatever. And we know that Erica was put under David's, roof under false pretenses to, rob him of all his money. So even if she does develop true feelings, you have to look at the fact that she knew since the moment she accepted his offer to stay in the house or even at the hotel when they had sex and whatnot, it was all a scam. So what would David do if he found out the truth? Like, what if Erica says that, I do have feelings for you and all this other crap, but he rejects her, or what happens with that? Do you think he'll be smart for finally rejecting Erica, or do you think he'll be a dumbass for accepting her apology and whatnot and then still welcome her into his home with or his life with open arms, as Hannah would have to deal with the, oh my god, this man is like the first one I've actually had real feelings for, but then it turns out he was the same monster that raped me when I was younger. There are just so many different avenues that Tyler Perry, this could definitely be a gemstone or a diamond in terms of the entire story of the haves and the have-nots, based off how Tyler Perry writes it. It could definitely go a long way. And then you also have to look at Derek in terms of being a Christian, but at the same time playfully suggesting sex, and then well, fine, let's go get married right now. And I'm just like, getting married to have sex. And I can definitely, because he's not like a 20-year-old or 16-year-old or whatnot. But obviously, he's just trying to get married for having sex. And it's just like, well, that's a poor reason to get married. But at the same time, it's just one of those situations where it's a cute scene, but then it's like, there's just something about this guy that I don't like. And also, I did notice a lot of people were talking about, man, look at old horse teeth running up on Hannah. Come on now, that ain't cool. You ain't got to be talking about the actor like that. Yo, he got some nice arms though, man. I need to start pumping some iron so I get arms like that myself. But at the same time, it's just like, I like the guy, but then there's just something about him that just doesn't feel right. It's just something a bit off in terms of this. I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it. But as of right now, Derek is the guy. In my eyes, in my mind, he is the guy that raped Hannah. He is the guy that is Candace's father. Unless he pulls a switcheroo and then puts in a new actor who is the guy. I don't know. But let me know in the comment section, what do you think about Derek being the guy? I feel like this last episode just laid it out for us that he is the one. How do you think Hannah will react when she eventually finds out? Who do you think will see the lion tattoo first? And also, I think this was mentioned when those two were having dinner at the restaurant before they went to the club and listened to Stephanie Mills. It had to do with something about drinking. Like Hannah was like, I might have a beer every now and then, but that's about it. And then Derek was like, I forgot his wording. I think he said something along the lines of, I used to drink a lot or something like that, but I don't really do it anymore. So you could argue that he did drink a lot back during his first quarter of life, and then in a drunken state ran after Hannah and raped her. Who knows? But I'm just saying, there are just way too many clues for him not to be the guy. But if Tyler Perry switches it up, bravo, sir. You duped me and a bunch of the fan base. But let me know, how do you think Candace would react if she found out? How will Hannah react? How will Benny react? Who's this? What's the Benny calling him a clown? If you don't get your ass out of that kitchen. Let me stop. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you soon.